YYKYK, which obviously YD. Okay?
Dutcher and Hardy, mornings on the Sports Zone.
Interesting.
This is a Teddy Riley special. He got these guys together to do this album, and they were never heard from again.
Teddy's promoting a book. I think we need to get him in here under some guise of he must like some sports team.
I would have him in here if he would sit down with the two of you.
Wouldn't it be amazing?
That'd be awesome.
I mean, you would have to.
That'd be great.
I would.
It would last more than 4 hours.
Seriously, we'd start with Arsenio Hall and Guy performing. It'd be great.
He just did one podcast where they just brought out his synthesizer and he just started doing all the MJ tunes and everything, and I was just like enraptured.
If I could have Teddy Riley in and you too, I would have him in. I would just go. I'd bring us out of break, and I would just sit back and I would watch the magic.
It would be totally Chris Farley show. Where do you remember that time you worked with Michael Jackson? That was awesome.
So Jonathan is I felt bad because Hardy's not here and Chris Forsberg from NBC Sports Boston is here and they usually talk about golf. I tried to bring Roach into the conversation. He didn't do such a good job.
No, he did okay.
But then you know what I'm saying, Chris. And then John popped in
really, Fred,
to save the day. If you didn't, John, you like to travel, Dan. You like to do things with your family. John does too. John, for spring break, took his kids to his in-laws' house in suburban Philadelphia. And if that wasn't enough, he's like, guess what, gang? We're going back. This weekend, he's taking Friday off because he's going to the PGA Championship, which happens to be
Is the whole family going?
No, just my wife and I.
That's pretty cool.
Okay. So you're ditching the children.
We get a weekend, yes.
Wow.
They're staying at their in-laws' house?
Yes.
How far is that from the golf course?
15 minutes.
How do you pronounce it? Aronimink?
Aronimink.
So you'll get there early. Your wife enjoys this. She likes walking around the golf course.
She was the one who was pushing for it. I believe we have grounds passes, I've been told, for round number 2
what a
on
great
Friday.
wife.
We're going to walk around, check out. Apparently, there are 3 great tee times on the 10th tee. Friday morning, 8, 8, 11, and 8:22.
Yeah.
Rory's in there. Bryson DeChambeau's in there.
At 8:40, it's Rory, Spieth, and Rahm.
Oof.
At 8:29, it's Schauffele, Koepka, and Hatton. And at 8:18, it's DeChambeau, Ludwig Oberg, who I like in this tournament, and Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
You question Rochi's golf knowledge, and he had the tee times ready to go.
No, Roach lives in a constant state of distraction just to keep him from his own dark thoughts. He's very into anything that's happened.
What?
Fred's been after that to try and find those dark thoughts for 50 years now.
I didn't even know that computer turned on.
I had dad one time, too, Chris. You know?
What I did what?
I said I had to go have a catch with my dead dad. Remember that.
I said if you just want to find the tombstone and throw the ball against it.
Is that nice?
I thought it was nice.
Oh, the pouring rain, me crying.
Not to desecrate it. Not to desecrate anything, just to go, hey, Dad, how about one last catch?
Catch it, Dad.
All right. Settle down. It's your father you're talking about. All right. So Chris Forsberg, very controversial. We'll save you. We did it 40 minutes on it the last time.
Oh, my God, please. Honest to God, in almost 20 years of doing this, I have never received so much hate. It was validating because I realized I make so much sense so often.
I liked his starting 5. I don't know what your deal was.
All right, so what Chris is referring to is in Game 7, the Missoula trotting out 5 guys that never played together all season, and 3 of them being very fringe NBA players. And it didn't work. And so Chris's point, which I know very well, I lost a lot. I've never lost so many followers on Instagram for whatever reason. Your words. For some reason, I looked at my Instagram and it was like that. When we put that video up, I lost way more followers than I gained.
Wow.
And it's just odd because it got a lot of traction, and I don't know why it pissed people off. I didn't say it. But
that's it. I'm following Fred.
Right, exactly. I mean, I've never seen a spike down like that. I swear to God. And I'm a rather divisive person.
Let that be a lesson.
And so Chris said, I like that idea. And we granted him that. We're like, sure, there's ideas that you like and you could be wrong. but it didn't work. And then Chris just wouldn't budge off it not working.
I probably dug in a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I had not gone back and watched it at that point, and then I went back and watched it. It's like, all right, maybe I shouldn't dig in quite as much.
And then he would go like, well, that's easy in hindsight. And you go, yes, in hindsight, it didn't work. and then he would go, that's what we're saying. No one's faulting you on believing that it might have been a good shakeup, because who knows? If it works, it works.
And I think you said, like, he was like, it was, it worked. And he was like, no, they were down 35-18.
And then he goes,
still, they came back.
Well, they came back, and it's like, that's not the point. When they left the floor, it had not worked. But
my bigger point was, like, I felt like I would be a hypocrite if I liked it before I saw what happened and then would walk. So,
that's not a hypocrite. A hypocrite would be saying, I never believed that. Or a hypocrite would go, you're an idiot for thinking that was a good idea.
Fair.
Calling someone else an idiot for thinking that was a good idea would make you a hypocrite. Saying I thought it was a good idea and then it going, well, it didn't work, just is stating fact, which is not would not make you look bad. Believe me.
But the best comments were most people said, I can never take anything you say about the Celtics seriously again, based on this one transgression.
I wouldn't.
There was a lot of the.
You got that?
A lot of the. Yeah, I mean, look. I usually when you have a bad take, it's just. I thought most people would just be like, okay, Forsberg had a bad day. Didn't happen.
No, people were pissed about the loss. That's all.
Did we ever find out if that guy drove off the road or not?
I'm guessing no. I didn't hear anything. Hopefully he did not. All right. So I wanted to bring you back. It was a scorching segment. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
You're digging in.
I'll try to do the same with whatever we got today.
No, you don't have to perform.
You've already touched the sun, sir. It's time to step back.
The thing that made that special was your honest digging in. You were not doing it for show. You were becoming very, very dug in.
Bring up the Spirit Airlines story. That'll get him to dig in a whole lot.
We wanted to ask. I forgot to ask him about that the last time he was here.
That's right.
That is true.
Spirit Airlines is stopped running, and it's not just that they stopped running. It's just that they said, we're done.
Gone completely.
It's done.
Yeah.
So,
no vouchers, no plane trips anywhere else.
No, like we end now.
But think about this. Is actually crazy. I hadn't thought about this part of it. So again, they one of their hubs or one of their most traveled locations is Myrtle Beach, where my mother lives, and that was Coastal Carolina's like graduating weekend. And all these people flew in and then did not have flights to get back out. And now you can scramble and try to find, but I mean, there's also very limited airlines going out of Myrtle. So people couldn't even get back to their preferred destination. And I guess it caused a whole bunch of chaos. I mean, I was more like, I'm not heading back down there. And the dirty little secret is that we've become breeze people in the last.
Ooh, yeah, maybe you're partially responsible.
But you know what? That blood is on my hands, and I do feel bad. Spirit, I will always have the memories. My children, when my kids were little, I mean, not even little, like now, when the plane flies over the house and you see that big yellow bird in the sky, it's Spirit.
Dad, there's Spirit.
And all the waste drops out of it onto your head.
Right on your house.
Now,
but does anything speak Spirit Airlines more than screwing over their customers? Like
one last time.
It's a walk-off. It's great.
Like, I don't think the government would let Delta just shut down. Like, I really think that the FAA would step in and they'd be like, you have to gradually, stop, cease flights. Like, you're causing like a great deal of economic concern. Now, Spirit didn't have to worry about that because tables they can find someone to bus. They can just, move people around at the Applebee's. But, I don't think a lot of brain surgeons were missing work because Spirit Airlines was not in the air.
The most disappointing thing is, so I sent my poor mother, we hadn't booked some of our summer dates. And I think I've told you this before, where if you go to the airport, you can, you get a little bit cheaper. They save you some of the taxes. So she went to book our trip down for our family in August. She showed up in the middle of this chaos where everyone's now in line at Breeze trying to rebook their flights, and so what should have been a 5-minute process turned into we should have just booked online. She said, but you would
have saved $20. Wouldn't have saved the $20.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
it helped. It wasn't my time I wasted. I felt bad though. She said that they were taking apart the Spirit counters and taking down all the signage and stuff like that. And I was like, "Did you get me anything?"
Yeah.
Because I really would like,
kids.
like
want
a little,
yellow
a little
sign for the
spirit
living
check-in
room?
sign for the basement would have been amazing.
God.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I've been on Facebook Marketplace all week trying to find something.
Anything?
Well, you could find an old hepatitis-ridden seat. You could do anything you want.
I will miss. Did you ever? They had what was called the big front seat, and it was literally just like they would
Yes.
put 2 recliners in there.
Yes. Yeah.
It was an experience, man.
It was almost like a private jet. No, I know Spirit. I know Spirit because my son, when he was very little, left his backpack by a gate with like whatever was his security thing at the time.
Oh, that's gone.
And I went to the Spirit Airlines by baggage claim, and there was a woman eating dinner, and the door was locked, and I knocked, and she just looked at me and just went back to eating dinner. So I just sit there and
This
wait
is
for her
my
to finish
time.
dinner.
I mean, it's her time.
It really is. I mean, who can argue with that? I mean, and why not have just one employee who's on their dinner break at 6 o'clock in the evening?
But literally, I will look back. The memory of my fondest memory of Spirit will be that you could legitimately get $9 flights. There was something called the $9 Fare Club, and probably once a year it would stay at the $9 if you got in early enough. We had one flight that was then delayed. I know they actually ran on time most of the time.
Except when you look it up.
No, I'm telling you, like if I'm gonna have to dig in on something else. One, the planes never crashed.
We've done this. We've done well that I believe, but we've done the exercise with the delays.
Yeah, I don't
and you were
trust
wrong.
those numbers. All I know is from this
course
neck of the
not.
woods.
When faced with reality.
Exactly.
Much like
He doesn't trust the numbers.
Much like starting lineups,
And you, the journalist.
there are a few things I know. for
Exactly.
certain.
What a way to.
Right. Spirit's a lot like Baylor
Journalists
Shireman.
the
Right?
journalists that can't deal with fact.
No, the metrics are different.
Right.
One of the rare times we got delayed, they then had to give us a credit for the flight. So we paid probably like $40 for the flight, and then they had to give us $200 per person. We flew for like 3 years without paying a single cent to Spirit, and now if anyone's wondering why they went out of business, it was for shenanigans like that.
Well, when AirTran, which is no longer an airline, was really pushing Atlanta, they gave the people at 99X free first class seats wherever they flew.
Ooh.
So in first class in AirTran was no, incredible.
It was like a
experience.
regular seat.
Yeah, it was just in the front of the plane.
Okay.
It really was, I believe, just the seats. Maybe it was just 2, but whatever. It wasn't no special service. But you were at the front of the plane, and that's why I got married in Grand Bahama Island, because they were the only airline that flew regularly to Grand Bahama Island. And then South African Air, which John knows this story. When I just started at 99X, South African Airways was having a flight to South Africa, a nonstop flight to South Africa they wanted to promote. And they said, "Hey, Fred, do you want to go to South Africa?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, and I'm like, "But what's the deal?" And they're like, "You'll fly there." And then I'm like, "Okay, so what do I do?" And they're like, "Well, you turn around and come back." I'm like, "Oh." So I fly like 16 hours to South Africa, touch a chair, sit for an hour in the airport, and fly 16 hours back. Where do I sign up?
Did you get paid for those 2 days?
I didn't do it. Are you out of your mind?
Missed opportunity.
How much would it cost for you to go to South Africa, stay at the airport, and turn around and fly back? How much would they have to pay you?
I would do anything my employer asked, but if it was a side quest,
This guy went to Abu Dhabi last year.
I was going to say,
Stayed there.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
And then
stay
he was
there.
also brainwashed by the government. You can't say anything bad about Abu Dhabi.
How much signage was put on the floor that next season?
there was.
A lot of signage.
But seriously, how much would it cost for you to do that?
Again, I like if I had the time, if I had some like work to do on that plane, you could convince me for a couple hundred.
What?
Wow.
Couple $100 for a 16-hour flight
I'm a
each
simple
way.
man.
32 hours in the air.
That does.
I'm thinking like
Come on. That's 2 days. 2 days of your life is worth $200.
add about 3 zeros to that. Are you out of your mind?
What's the golf situation down there?
You can't
You
leave the
can't get off the
airport.
plane.
You can, whoa! But like that would be part of my agreement. Like I'll be like,
But that's not what was offered.
You can play Tiger Woods golf video on the game, on the plane.
oh, no. Yeah, what's the Wi-Fi situation on the plane?
At the time, probably they didn't have it, but now, sure, you have Wi-Fi.
Intriguing.
So it's how much does it cost for you to sacrifice 32 hours of your life, 2 days of your life?
I'm a simple man.
Yeah, $200.
Rochi, what's your number?
Oh, for that?
Yeah.
Like $10,000.
Easily. Easily
You guys are
10
crazy.
grand.
Well, first off, no one's paying you $10,000 to do that.
Exactly.
And
So sorry, I'm not going.
And if someone walked in with like $1,000, you'd be like, yeah, okay, I'll do it.
No.
No.
I'm good.
No.
Well, you guys are not different.
No.
You're
No.
alone with your thoughts too for 32 hours. Plus, tack on the time. I'm sure the flight didn't leave right after the
That's
other
the
one.
real
Then when you
danger.
get home,
the being alone.
Well, how about this one?
For
If Breeze Airways came to me and said, look, we have a direct flight to, let's say it's South Africa. It's not going to exist. But like, if you will do this, we will then allow you to fly anywhere you want for,
So you're
years
adding
span.
things.
Yeah, that is true. I asked a monetary amount.
Yes.
Like if Delta gave you a
I'm
black
sure-
card to fly for
Right.
life for free, of
I wouldn't
course
even
I
need
would
for
do
life.
it.
I would just need like 5 years. A year.
Yeah, what's that valued at?
That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah, it's not $200.
Well, I mean, but
You're
how
asking
much-
for a lot
That's
more?
I mean, you got.
I don't know if it's 10.
Traveling's not just about getting there. You have to pay for hotels and food. I mean, it's a lifetime thing would pay for itself. A year puts a lot of pressure on you to spend a tremendous amount of money in a very short amount of time because you'd feel obligated to go to like Australia.
I
and
know,
then,
right?
And then you're like, wow, free flights, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But then you get to Australia and you're like, well, to justify this trip, I need to spend 2 weeks here. And, now you got you and your family, and it's 2 weeks of hotels and everything else.
Not leaving any PTO on the table. We're going places, people. Pack your stuff. We're going.
That's right. All right, look, there are rumors flying around this Celtics team.
Ooh.
There are many questions to be answered, and we will get with that immediately following this break. Big show on the way.
Need a little help getting started in the morning?
It's very dangerous.
They've got the experts.
So, no.
Toucher and Hardy.
No.
On the Sports Hub.
What's interesting about these songs that Forsberg and Wallach like is that I can't imagine they're meant to be like have sex to them. And I can't imagine like having a girl over. You guys got to think about this. Now, when I was in high school, like this seemed completely appropriate. But like you have a girl over and like she sits down on your couch and you like put on music and it's like, hey baby,
Yeah.
like I'm going to love you right.
Well,
And then like you like stomp
Shuffle
her up.
Al B. Shore's greatest hits, and then boom.
I saw him in concert. It was Albie Shore, and you'll appreciate this, Levert and Bobby Brown.
Damn.
Bobby Brown, a headliner during the My Prerogative period.
See, I used to see Bobby Brown all the time during his post My Prerogative period where he was hanging out at the Palm.
Now, there was a reason Albie Shore was first. His set was short. There weren't a lot of songs involved. Levert was much longer.
Nothing about him screamed charisma. All right, so Chris Forsberg, Jaylen Brown, he went to Twitch after the day after the championship, the day after the first round loss to Philadelphia, and he had a lot to say, including this was his favorite season.
Did that make you mad?
No, but I think I don't think it's outrageous or sports talky, hot takey to go, wow, Tatum wasn't around.
Yeah.
Like that's not a crazy leap, considering, again, that's a fact. That might not be what he was specifically referring to, but I mean, that's not a gigantic leap to say that. But what did you make? But more than that, it was, this was your look, it's a healthy way to live. Like that's probably even good for an athlete to when a season's over, like not stew and like just prepare for the next season and kind of put that in the rearview mirror. But to say it, that's why if I was an agent, I'd be like, just don't get on the internet.
Yeah. The only misstep was he should have waited, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let everything die down from a disappointing exit. I think we can all understand if you take a step back and you think, Jaylen comes into this year. He knows he's going to be the guy, which everyone has questioned whether he could be that guy and thrive in that situation. Behind the scenes, he took on such a leadership role. He took all these young guys that, were unproven and had to show what they can do and took them down to Gillette and took them to concerts and just tried to build the chemistry. And, when the backlash happened, he then came out a couple of days later and said, people don't understand, like, not only did the leadership stuff and being the guy every night, but then watching Tatum come back. And he said all the right things. And if he had just waited 2 weeks and he had voiced it like that, it wouldn't have been an issue. But I also don't have a problem with it, right? Like, I understand it. there was a lot of questions. If people constantly question whether you can do it, whether you could be the guy, and you go out there and you have an MVP caliber season, I got no problem with someone being like that was my favorite year. Like everybody wants to win. Nothing is ever going to probably be better than winning a title and being Finals MVP and all that. But there is some personal pride that goes into this, so I have absolutely no problem with it.
Okay, now Giannis is being shopped. And we had Jeff Goodman on yesterday, and
he must have wanted to trade Jaylen Brown immediately.
Yes, someone said that Jeff Goodman didn't even say anything about Drew Peterson's or Darren Peterson's cramping being due to creatine. And it's like, I don't know why he had to throw that in. I mean, I knew that. Yeah, believe me, this guy's seen these kids play since they were sophomores in high school. Like I appreciate listening, and I appreciate the thought that went into the email, and I'll email the guy back. But it's like Goodman knows. Like Goodman knows the families. He's been around them like since they were in high school.
He's awesome.
Like you cannot. His basketball bona fides are indisputable. Now he might have an opinion you don't agree with, but his knowledge of these kids, especially in the draft, there's no one we talk to that knows as much as he does. Because I don't know anyone who follows basketball at an AAU level.
Yeah,
not that I
getting
want
into
to.
high school level and
like I don't
relationships.
I don't want to know anyone. Jeff Goodman's the guy I want to know.
Right?
Yes.
But anyway, he wants to trade Brown. And what I'm starting to realize in my life, I've reflected, is that I'm always I'd always be in the camp of Brown and Tatum. They've won a championship. They've proven that they can do it. Keep them together. And that's not a bad way to look at things. Nope. But there are wasted windows, and you see it with teams with superstars a lot. I mean, there's plenty of superstars everywhere Charles Barkley played. You know, there's places where people, Iverson, there's places that people haven't taken advantage of a generational talent. Say Tatum's a generational talent. He's a top 5, top 10 guy in the league. Is it outrageous if a fantastically gifted superstar is available and you have two guys that have had disappointing exits in the playoffs the last 2 years? Is it outrageous to exchange one very, very good top 20 player for a generational talent with some risk attached just to change things up?
Yep. So here's how I land on it. I think when you've had a disappointing exit in 3 of the last 4 seasons, and especially this year with the first round exit, it is absolutely fair for your front office to sit there and huddle and say, what is our best path forward? How do we maximize what we believe is the core of our team, and what does that look like? Now, I'm a hopeless romantic. I would love if the Jays could see this story through. It's been, from the story of getting swatted in 22 and coming back and winning in 24 to these new obstacles. It'd be great if you could work on the fringes, put together another championship team, and they're the centerpiece. And it's a great, I don't want to say Cinderella, but it's a good story. It undeniably, when a player like Giannis becomes available, you have to think about it. You have to think about what is accentuating whatever you do believe. Like, if they believe that Tatum is what they're building around, like, what are the best pieces you put around him? And is Jaylen that guy? So we'll see. Giannis is the sort of person you have to have a conversation about. It's not if I had to make a move, a big splash move, probably not the one I'd do.
Who would you do? Like, what would you be looking for?
I'd probably be looking to get a little bit younger. The players that I think could best accentuate Tatum, if that's your guy, it gets difficult, right? Like, Miami's not trading you Bam. It's harder to find the big man that you need. And so, like, Giannis...
Doesn't that tell you a little bit about Jaylen Brown, though? Like, that Miami wouldn't move off Adebayo for Brown.
Yeah. Well,
so if you can get Giannis, so what you're basically saying by describing that Miami wouldn't do that is that you're saying you can trade Brown for a superstar, but it would have to be someone who was a little bit older. And you wouldn't be getting Giannis for 4 years from now. You'd be getting Giannis to win the championship next season.
The harder part is, I think, all the teams that have guys that may potentially be available, what they're trying to do is either get draft picks or like a super young superstar that sort of ushers them into the next generation.
Exactly.
Jaylen's in this weird spot where, he's about to be 30. He is a top 20, top 15, whatever you want to call them, player in the NBA. But teams that are going into the rebuild mode don't necessarily want him. So now you got to bring a third team in. It just gets muddy.
Who would want him?
What's that?
Who would want him?
I think there are teams there are going to be teams with disappointing exits like the Rockets. Certainly a team like, you start thinking about like the Portlands of the world, teams that are looking to take another step, that maybe need a veteran presence. You also got to think about where he could be, the guy again, because if you believe that part of his desire to have a potentially another situation would be to be the guy, then it can't be a team that already has someone. Right?
They couldn't be like the Pistons, who could technically, I believe, swing something without giving up a superstar.
That's a good example, right? Like, so in a vacuum, and again, I'm not saying these are the perfect sort of trades, but like, let's say if they were frustrated that Duran didn't have a great postseason, they wanted to get a guy like Jalen to give someone Cade. Is that a situation that Jalen would want to do?
No.
Now, Celtics probably don't need to think about that because at that point you're just doing what's best for your team. But there is some idea of rewarding a player that.
Well, I don't think Jalen and Cade Cunningham could play together. I think it would be the exact same situation
right?
that you have with Brown and Tatum.
The one thing
even worse because the whole offense runs through Cunningham. The ball's in his hand almost the entire possession.
The one thing I come back to as I try to determine, one, I absolutely think there's going to, like, just from a 10,000-foot view, I think the Celtics have to look at this and say they have to get better. It is clear there was a disparity between what we saw in the regular season and where they rank among the best teams. So I do think there's going to be some eyebrow-raising moves this offseason. When I try to do the Jalen trades, I never get to a point where I'm like, that player is definitely better than Jalen and comes with and doesn't bring some sort of risk, right? Like, yeah, Giannis in a vacuum is great, but he's 32. There's injuries, and I don't know if it's a perfect fit with Tatum. I think it would be good, but I don't know. Like, what you have in Jalen,
right? But so, do you think with healthy Giannis that they're a better team next season than they are with Brown?
What are the complementary pieces? What do you have? What do you put
same team?
Same team?
Because you just a 1-for-1, which is really rare, which is why this is interesting.
For one season, yes, they are. Giannis is one of the best 5 players in the world. Jaylen Brown, while great, is not close to that. Giannis, when healthy, is a better player than Jaylen Brown, but you can't just do it for 1 year. Giannis is available. I think he's up for an extension.
The question
4
is,
years at $270 million.
Would you? That's the question: is are you willing to sacrifice back end of the future to win a championship today? And you're not, even though Brown and Tatum have shown they've failed in the playoffs the last 2 seasons.
I think the problem isn't Brown and Tatum. I think the problem is, and this is somewhat salary cap driven, the players around him.
Well, you're not going to be able to improve that.
Look, if you get me a better big man, if they somehow figure out a way to get a better big man and Derek White shoots the ball better, I think the outcome is much different than what you just saw.
But in order to get that better big man, are you probably having to move on from some of the complementary pieces that exist?
Yeah, you would have to move White.
And that's their big question, right? Like, can you work on the fringes? Is that enough when you look at the way that Oklahoma City is playing, the way that like San Antonio, like? Do you have a roadmap to competing with Wemby long term? And so I think that has to all be part of the vacuum because the Celtics could shake things up on the fringes. They could get back to the NBA Finals. Are you good enough to win it? Because unless you definitively feel that you are good enough to win it, then you're not making those moves.
So what is Brad thinking?
I think Brad understands it. Because I went through long stretches of this season where I said, you go out there, you do what Wallach said. You go get Rob Williams. You go get another guard.
That's 4 weeks in a row. That's impressive. You managed to bring him up.
4 years in a row.
I know, but
you come back and with a healthier Tatum and with internal development, you're probably on the level with the best of the East. But it's still like there's still work
until the
done.
Playoffs start. But
you still have to prove it on the playoff level, where we saw that they got a little bit exposed. That you can make strides with the young core, but you have to essentially pick which of these young guys you're leaning into and move forward. So my whole thing is like when I heard Brad talk after the season, I said, "Ooh, I think they're going to make some bigger moves than people think."
Okay, but real quick, they did inquire about Giannis at the trade deadline.
It sounds as if, but I think one of the things that's always
no, I know, but just theoretically, what do you think? They obviously, if they contacted Milwaukee, they had an idea in mind. What do you assume that idea
I
was?
wonder if at that point it was something like, look, we're not trading Jalen because he's our guy right now, but we're trying to get better for the playoffs. And, I don't think that conversation gets very far because they don't have what Milwaukee needed.
Would it be like Hauser, Pritchard, and White?
I mean, yeah.
But why would Milwaukee
They wouldn't,
do that?
but that's what Chris is saying.
But that's what I'm saying. I
But
think
that's been floated, and it's like,
Right.
why would Milwaukee want
would
that?
never do that.
And
No.
that's what I hate about NBA reporting is these two teams had a conversation. Well, like every good team inquires when an MVP player is available.
No. But you inquire, but you do have, before you inquire, you have an internal conversation about what it would
For
take
sure.
to get the player. Right. Inquiring doesn't mean you were going, I'm trading
Exactly.
Jaylen Brown. You can't make that leap.
And, like, look-
but if they inquired, maybe they were kicking around, they were taking the temperature on what Milwaukee was looking for.
And maybe Milwaukee in that instance goes, well, what about Jalen? And you have a conversation about it. Does that mean you were going to get to the point where you're trading Jaylen Brown?
No.
But it's like,
But they did inquire, which
100%.
means that they didn't just inquire to go like, hey guys, like how you
Right.
doing? Is Giannis available? And they went, yeah, and then they hung up and ran around.
if I rooted for a team and their front office didn't make that call, I would be so upset.
Of course, but you have to have an internal conversation
For sure.
about what you're
and
willing
they have
to
that
give up before
conversation.
you
I can tell you, like I just I know, like they have those conversations all the time. Danny Ainge used to just like go up to people and just ask random questions, like, "What would you do for this player?" And he was the guy who called LeBron every free agency, even though they knew they had no chance. You just have to do those things.
And that's the thing. Brad, like Danny Ainge before him, isn't scared. If he doesn't trade Jaylen Brown, it won't be because he was scared to. It'll be because he determined that Brown is part of the future.
But if you listen to,
and
if there was ever a time he was going to do it, it sounds like it's now, because he sounded like very realistic about where this team is.
Yep.
He, at the end of the season when he spoke, basically told you he knew all along that this team wasn't going to do well in the playoffs.
And again, I love the idea of Jason and Jalen long term. The reality is, if you're going to trade Jalen before he hits 30, coming off his best season, like there's a lot of reasons to at least consider
this is
it.
as high as you can sell on him.
Exactly.
I can't sit here in good faith and just like be blissfully ignorant about it when all the people will scream at me and be like, "Green team," or you're just going to support whatever, keeping the Jays together.
Why is that a green team thing?
Because they're I don't know. Like I'm just telling you what the comments say to me.
But no, but you admitted that this team is currently constructed is not going to compete for a championship.
That's correct.
Like,
but people blissfully ignore that, and then they just say, "Oh, there he goes again with his green teamer takes."
But it's the thing is that it's just I've rooted for two. I don't care about the Celtics, but I've rooted for too many teams that for too long were just hanging on. Like you don't want to move this
and the
guy. You don't want to do
the
that
Celtics GMs through the years, from Red to Danny to Brad now, have seemingly known when it is time to make the tough decision.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I went into this offseason going, I'm going to play a lot of
Danny
golf.
didn't give an F.
Red let it go on too far. The first incarnation of the Big Three. He never traded McHale. He never traded Bird. He never traded Parrish. He let Parrish go, but it was different. That was the one Red mistake.
But then he always said, in the aftermath, he told Danny, like, you got to be bold. And from the KG Pierce trades to everything along the way, you just can't.
Yeah, because
Red
tiptoe
into this stuff.
Because Red saw it cost his team 7 years, 8 years after the Big Three left.
He can't control sciatica. Stop it.
Do you think now is the time to trade Brown?
With sciatica.
Yeah, we were just saying this is it. If you're going to do
now,
it has
today?
to be now.
There's always a little bit of a window. Jalen could have a great year next year, and you can consider it. But the other part of it that we have to figure out is that he's extension eligible. Do you want to put more money on there in more years? And what is Jalen like? What's his? That's sort of the easy path to it just wasn't going to work long term if you're not ready to give that extension. But yeah, like I'm telling you, just dig in. I'll be here every week.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about this offseason. Hopefully they do something bold because we could use it.
I know.
Yeah. We've already had the NFL draft.
Did you see Brad Stevens got that haircut?
No, I haven't seen him. I've just heard him. I've just heard his
no.
voice.
So his barber posted he was in the barber's chair, and he does that thing where like a celebrity's in the barber's chair and they do the slow rotate. And you would think Brad's the last person on earth that they would put up there, but
gave him the Clark Kent.
our GM was looking crisp, and I think he's ready. He's poised for the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, he's too flamboyant. He's always peacocking around that.
Yeah,
Stevens.
Brad.
Yeah,
always flexing.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like, we get it. You're a celebrity. You don't have to. Met Gala, that outfit he had on. Oof.
I would love to see Brad at one of those events.
Be in the makeup chair for that long, putting on that costume.
And now wearing a quarter zip. Brad Stevens.
All right. Thank you, Christopher Forsberg.
Am I allowed back in the future? Or like, is this
absolutely.
a week-by-week thing?
Love you. Come on.
Yeah, we'll take it week by week. If there's something with the Celtics to talk about, I mean, obviously we don't just talk about the Celtics with you, but absolutely.
Okay.
You'll be in this offseason.
See, Rochi? See how I negotiated that?
They're going to do something.
done.
They got to do something. Something's happening, and when it does,
These Breeze Airlines
in
flights
here.
aren't going to pay for themselves, so I gotta keep
That's
muscling
right.
my
Especially
way.
to South Africa.
He is compensated for coming in, ladies and gentlemen.
Couple $100.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
When it comes to the show, Hardy thinks the same way you do.
Nothing happened.
He's got the same questions.
Where is the story?
And the same opinions.
Boring.
And he's back with Fred on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Danny Roach is in studio, and he just off the air referred to Grown Ups as the Kevin James movie.
Well, a bunch of people are in it.
But it's an Adam Sandler film.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Adam Sandler and a bunch of his friends.
Right. Including the Kevin James, who's strangely an a-hole. He's not a nice guy. And the minute I say that, you'll receive emails verifying that. A lot of people around here, I guess he's filmed around here, and he was very
nice
rude.
to people?
Not nice. Apparently Sandler's like an angel. I just saw a video on Instagram of Sandler before he was famous in Fort Lauderdale for spring break being covered by a television station.
Really?
Yeah, him and his
During
friends-
those were his remote control years?
No, it's before.
Before the remote
He
control
was in high
years.
school, and he's
Wow.
like, I'm here for babes and beer, and he's being serious. And yeah, he's old enough that like Fort Lauderdale was the place that
to go.
everyone went to.
I went there once for spring break.
You did?
You hold on, stop. You were in
Well, no,
Fort
I was staying
Lauderdale.
at my parents' place, and I went over to see it. That's
Oh, you didn't? Okay. I thought it was like for Syracuse sophomore year
well,
type
those
of
are
thing.
my wild days.
Wait, so wait, your parents were in Fort Lauderdale while you were in college?
No, they were down in between Fort Lauderdale and
Whatever.
Miami.
They had retired when you were in college?
No, they just had a condo
Oh.
right near
The
Gulfstream
Roche fortune.
racetrack where my dad used to own horses.
I've been to Gulfstream. I know that area. Yeah.
Danny, so you're from a very well-to-do family.
Well, no, because my
in the
dad
sport
was
of kings.
He was making money, losing money.
He's manic depressive.
He got screwed over when he was young for a vice presidency job within a company that he was a big part of. And he said, screw it, I'm out. I'm never doing this again. I'm going to own my own businesses. So he would buy businesses, create businesses, and then sell them. And then he would one time he went way too quickly into horse racing.
Yeah, my father had a guy that at his agency that took over the agency that drove a Ferrari and owned harness racing horses, and he conned my father into buying a piece of one called Razzle Dazzle.
Nice.
Who raced once. And then,
Yeah,
and then
they're
said
such...
And then they said there's no point because he had a horse that won the Little Brown Jug, which is
Oh,
apparently
yeah. Big one, Meadowlands.
the poor man's Kentucky Derby.
Yep.
So like he got like $1 million or something for like stud fees or something for that horse at the time. So my father saw money in them. They're thoroughbreds. So he invested in a horse that ran once, and that was it. Oof. No stud fee. But my father's the same thing. He trusted someone that made a bunch of bad investments when I was a kid, and then he flipped out and like ruined the next 5 years of my life. He just paced around the house with these. I try to describe it to people, but if they're younger than me, they don't really understand. Like Morningstar mutual funds, like so there before the internet, you would just get these gigantic binders like describing in detail every stock and the performances of those stocks within a fund. So like one fund would be, I don't know, like 300 pages. And he just over the dining room table had scattered these Morningstar things. So he worried about that. And then he invested very well, for the amount of money he had left. He invested well, conservatively, but well. But then he said, I'm not freaking out about anything. Let's start a business with a dermatologist called Vibraderm. So then there were 3-ring binders of Vibraderm all over the dining room table while he paced around in his underwear and yelled. So that was basically...
How did that do?
It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So that was... I mean, I don't think he put a lot of money into it or any money into it. He put an incredible amount of time into it. And, like, they had test products and, like, they had manufactured the product and all that. So they had outside investors, I'm sure. Who knows? My father would never tell me if I asked him anyway. But all I know is that I can judge my childhood with my father's involvement by the level of panic about certain things.
Yes,
that he had
I know
going
that
on.
well. My mom would go into a panic about everything. Because my dad, he owned it. He bought and sold the travel agency. You know, he tried that. And you know what he did? He created expense reports that we all do to do our things. And he had some big clients like American Express, Coca-Cola, the Chicago Cubs. And then he sold that for a good amount of money, which is kind of like, you guys do travel expense reports. Those are basically what he created as software and sold it all for a lot of money. Then he bought a breeding farm in Ocala, Florida, and bred a couple horses. And then he owned horses. Then he had like these high-priced horses that got hurt.
My aunt lived in a trailer in Ocala, Florida. She retired to a trailer in a trailer park in Ocala, Florida. But she even had a horse.
Yeah. Up there, forget it. You have to have a horse to live up there.
A lot of arrests in that trailer. A lot of arrests and then reconciliation going on in that trailer. I kind of lost. She's unfortunately passed, but my mom was saying something about when she was here about like teenagers having sex, and I'm like, didn't your sister have a kid at 16? And she's like, no, Freddie, she got married. And I'm like, oh, that's different.
Much more responsible.
Having a kid would have been a mistake, but she got married. And then how far after she got married did she have a kid? And she's like, oh, I don't remember. Well, it was soon. Like, I'm guessing your sister might have been pregnant when she got married at 16, Mom. I don't know if we want to tread in those waters.
Man.
Considering my mom's got a niece that's like her age, basically. Like she's got a Suzanne is she's still alive. She's like my mom. She's like 78 years old. My mom's 84. So I have a cousin who's like 78 years old. It's like, it was just such an odd conversation because now that they're getting older, I'm like asking them things. But my mother was pontificating. She's like, do teenagers have sex? When I was a kid, teenagers didn't have sex. They didn't have sex. Like da-da-da-da. And I'm like, Mom, I lost my virginity at 15. She's like, what? Yeah. Teenagers don't have sex. Like, it washes over her. Like, she doesn't hear that. Like, it just like, like she just doesn't hear it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever I say. And then she's like, well, that didn't happen when I was a kid. And your sister got married at 16.
Selective memory, Freddie.
What the hell are you talking
What
about?
happens when you get older?
She moved out at 16. Now she moved down the street with a guy that would sit around in his underwear watching the Mets, drinking beer at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday.
Nice.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment.